Hello, everybody. Reggie Time here with another bunch of hands that I've saved to review with my son, who I am trying to help improve at poker. This time they are from the 10NL Ante Streets full ring on GG Poker. I chose to play this game yesterday to collect some hands because they better reflect the types of games both he and I play in on the private club that I'm involved with, which you can locate by clicking the link beneath the video. So if you are interested in seeing more of my content, click the link beneath the video. It'll take you to a Facebook page which has more of my content there and shows the games and how like loose and passive they are. So if you're interested in that, do click the link. But the reason for this video isn't to drive traffic there. It's just because I'm enjoying making these videos. And these are all hands, as I say, that I've played, that I've saved to review with my son, just so I can like learn more about how his thought process works, and then hopefully try and um, give him some better thought process. Try and upgrade his basic system. Some of these hands, I'm not sure how much I'm teaching him because a couple of them are maybe a bit fruity, but nevertheless, let's get stuck into them. We're going to be playing this back on double quick speed, and I only have 25 minutes, so we're going to get through them all pretty quick. Here we have the King Queen. We have a player that's posted a min race, and I thought this guy was probably a fish. He might still be a fish, but he ended up being quite high up the leaderboard. So he's obviously some kind of regular, but this just isn't a thing. That post, then min raise, an anti game. This player's cold called the small blind, which I think is much more reasonable in these games given the presence of the very large ante. And then we've got King Queen off. We should definitely squeeze this hand. Um, we do squeeze. I don't like my size. I think it should definitely be bigger. There's just an awful lot of dead money in the pot with this open, which could be dead, this, which could be dead, and the antes. Prefer to assume myself go to like 16 blinds here, but nevertheless, we didn't. We get a pretty rubbish flop for our hand, but we do have two overs and backdoor everything, so we should definitely see that, which we do, and our opponent calls. Turn is the nine of hearts, which improves our equity quite significantly. It gives us a gut shot now if that's not dead. We still have the two over cards, of course, and we do have the second nut flush draw. Our opponent checks. I think we have a pretty easy continue here for a large size. Which I do, and then we get check jammed on pretty quickly. And now this just becomes a maths problem that you got to try and solve within the time bank without them fucking stealing blinds from you. I mean, we're pretty clearly, obviously, behind here. If we're behind to a flush, then we are in seriously bad shape. If we're behind to a set, then we've got a bit more equity. I don't know. I think this is really close. Um, I don't know, frankly. I think probably just losing slightly, calling, I think. I mean, we've got to call 9 to win a pot of 32, which is what, like getting 3.5 to 1. I don't know. But I elected to call anyway. And we were up against this hand, which obviously shouldn't exist. Pre-flop, even though we are getting severely compensated for the antes and what have you, this hand should just fold. It should definitely fold to the squeeze, even though my squeeze wasn't big enough. But sometimes bad players get rewarded, and I might get rewarded too because my play might also be bad. This might just be two players playing badly. We ran twice, and we won one each, and I need to mute those fucking sounds because that's going to do my head in. On to the next hand. We have the ace and the queen. Face a limp. And a very small ISO. We should always 3-bet here, which we do. Much happier with this size. And we get called. We flop ourselves top pair. We should c-bet, which we do. We get called. Turn should be a break. We've got 3/4 pot left. This hand's just super trivial. In we go. Move on to the next one. And our opponent did fold, and we won the pot. Not even sure why that one made the cut, to be honest with you. Ace-10 diamonds here, open from the guy who had the 9 deuce. We're obviously going to 3-bet a hand as strong as this versus that player. We get called. We flop an ace. Our man checks. Then it's our decision now. Do we want to c-bet or not? I think probably not here. Probably got one of our weaker aces. We probably only have ace-4 and ace-5, which are weaker. Obviously, ace-jack's 2 pairs. Obviously, ace-9's 2 pairs, even though I wouldn't 3-bet ace-9. And then we have ace-queen, ace-king, etc. I like to retain some top pairs in my check-back range. And usually I choose my weakest top pairs. Turn, we face a small bet. Trivial call. River, we face another small bet. And now it's just, can we raise for value? We're obviously never folding our hand here versus small bet in a 3-bet pot. And we just need to ask, can we get called by a worse hand here? So does this player have hands like ace-8 in range? Will they bet call if they've got a hand like king-queen? And I suspect we only get calls from ace-x here when we raise, or better. So then we need to be like, right, well, okay, does this player have ace-8, ace-7? Probably. Can we raise our hand, though? I don't know, is the honest answer. Versus small bet, there's certainly a temptation to raise small here, then maybe fold. But what's our small raise going to be to like £5? Then we get shoved on. We're probably dead. I think if I could program myself to raise fold here, I would raise and then fold to a shove. But I stink at doing that, so I elected just to call. This is a mental game leak, because I think we can definitely raise small for value here. But I didn't. And we did beat the king jack, which probably wouldn't have called a raise, but you never know. People are bad, myself included. Here we have a raise from a player I'm not familiar with. We 3-bet. We get called. We flop ourselves a steel wheel draw, which is nice. We get led into, which is interesting for a small size. Probably raise here and just run it. Also call's fine, obviously. Just don't fold. We do go with raise. And our opponent folds. And again, I'm not sure why that hand's made it in. Ace king, we have a proper hand. We open, we get called. Our opponent checks. On such a dry board, we need to start pulling our bluffs from kind of backdoor draws, because we don't really have any front door draws here. Maybe the like 8-7 of clubs, ace-4, ace-deuce. So maybe we don't need to bluff ace-king, but I chose to anyway. Turn, queen, our man checks. Good card for us to continue barreling on, put a lot of pressure on 5x, put some pressure on 9x, put a lot of pressure on pocket pairs, etc. I think once we c-bet this flop and we get a turn that's good for our range, we should probably continue bluffing, which we do. Opponent snap called. River deuce. Villain is about to check again. And then we've got to decide, do we want to bluff our hand? I don't think we've got the best hand very often at all here. Yeah, we're ahead of some drawy type hands that we can win against. We're ahead of some random floats that shouldn't really call a second barrel, but sometimes do. But I still think we probably need to consider bluffing our hand. Or maybe not. I mean, does villain get to this river with hands like pocket 6s, pocket 7s, pocket 8s? Maybe. 9x, probably. Shouldn't have too much queen x in range, but, you know, it can exist. Are we bluffing too high up here? Do we have other hands to bluff with? Well, of course we do. I don't know. I did elect to go with the bluff though, which in retrospect I'm not convinced by. Villain did go in the tank here and waste a couple of big blinds time banking. And finally called with the king 3 suited, which to my mind makes a pretty bad bluff catcher. But he didn't care. And I guess I don't have to care because it's gone now. It's happened. Here we have the ace jack suited. We're going to 3-bet. We're going to get 4-bet. And at this depth, I think we just have nothing to do but continue by call, even though we are in pretty rough shape versus top of his 4-bet range. And I don't see 4-bet bluffs coming very often in any micro stakes game. I still think at this depth versus this size, we just have to call and see what happens. We get a pretty good flop. Our man c-bets for half pot exactly, which in a 4-bet pot is a kind of unusual size. We've flopped a lot of equity. I think in position here we have an easy call. Out of position, mixing between calling and raising. This time I went with raise. And we get it through. So that was a nice outcome. Here we have the queen 4 suited. Not folding, getting such a good price pre-flop. We flop trips, which is delightful. And villain bets for half pot. I think our hand's not too weak to raise because we do have trips, but happy just calling and seeing turned, which is a diamond. We check again. Villain bets, sizing up this time. He's gone from half pot to 2/3 pot or thereabouts. So he's sized up, which is indicative of a strong made hand or a decent draw. We block a fair chunk of the draw. Well, I don't fucking know. I talk shit sometimes. But we do block a fair chunk of the draw, but we also block a fair chunk of value too. We just call again. The river is an 8. And now villain sizes up, so he's gone from half pot to 2/3 pot to whatever. This is like 80% pot, is it? Something like that. And now we're in kind of an awkward spot because we don't beat any value here whatsoever with our trips. Yeah, that blocker, diamond blockers are irrelevant, I think. Jack 10 does get there if he ever did have a hand like Jack 10 of, well, any of the suits on the flop, really. We lose to, obviously, all Queen X. And, like, what bluffs get here? Obviously, some diamonds. But I don't like it when it goes, like, when someone goes small, bigger still, it's rarely a bluff. I mean, this bloke could be a good player, could be a shit player. I have no idea. But I elected just to fold here in the end. And when my lad looked at this with me, he was confused. I think there aren't enough bluffs here to want to bluff catch, and we lose to all the value, in my opinion. So I elected just to make a pretty tight fold. And we never know. We never know if that was correct or not. Here we have an easy call on the button. We flop pair plus backdoors. Easy continue versus 1/3 pot. The villain now checks, and the question is, do we have enough showdown value here just to try and get to showdown? Do we want to start bluffing with our hand? Do we want to start like betting our hand for protection against hands like ace queen, ace king, etc.? I think all in all, I come down on bet in the end, mostly for protection, to be honest with you. When I was discussing it with my lad last night, I was talking about bluffing, but I just don't think we get a better hand to fold on the turn ever. So I'm not really sure how effective it is as a bluff, but we do get value for our hand from like things like ace queen, ace stubborn ace kings, etc. I don't know. That bet is a bit merged on the turn. They almost never fall better, but they sometimes call with worse. We get 6 on the river. Our opponent checks again, and now it's like, do we bluff or not? Um, and again, I don't like the way I played this hand. I think we can probably just check down here. Is he going to fold a better hand here? Probably almost never on this run out. If he has started slowing down with over pairs, he's unlikely to fold them. Yeah, I ended up betting this river, but I don't like it. It's too thin for value, and I just don't think it works well as a bluff. This is a badly played hand from me on the river, especially. And our opponent folded very quickly, which tells me he did just have a hand like Ace King, Ace Queen, or something like that. He maybe wanting a blue moon. He's folding a hand like Queen Jack, which seems pretty fucking unlikely. On to the next hand. I am rushing through these. I do apologise for that. We open the King 10 suited. We flop a gut shot. We have probably a pretty easy C bet here. And we get called. We turn the nuts with the second nut redraw, which is delightful. Even more delightfully, we get led into now. This is just never going to be a hand that's folding, in my opinion. Check, call, flop, donk, turn. It's an incredibly underfolded line. So in my opinion, no reason to slow play. We do raise, and our opponent quickly called. And we improved on the river to the flush, but our hand actually gets just a pip worse because we've gone from having the nuts to now the second nuts. But nevertheless, we're still looking to play a big pot, of course. We get donked into again. This player is taking a very unconventional line. I mean, he might be folding now. But obviously, we're just going to put the rest of the money in. And that was a very good outcome for us. His hand got progressively better each street, but it still wasn't good enough to beat us. Ace 4 suited. We're going to 3-bet. Get called. We flop a nut flush draw. Now, we played a pot earlier with this guy, or a few pots with this guy. He was just a bad, aggro, sticky. He was just a fish that was bad in a multitude of ways. He donks here. So the first decision is, do we raise or just call? And I think both are viable options. I went with call this time, which in hindsight, I don't know that I love. Turn pairs the body, again comes with like 1/3 pot. This is now, in my opinion, representing probably a hand like 8s, 9s, 10x, spades, etc. And I don't expect this player to do an awful lot of folding. So I decided just to call and see a river. We get a pretty disappointing river. And he bets 1/3 again. And I think like trying to bluff this player type after they've gone bet, bet, bet is just a fool's errand. So I sadly folded. This hand is caused quite a lot of discussion between me and my dad because he was just instantly just fold pre-dad. I'd like, yeah, that's probably reasonable. My reasons for doing it were, we're opening the cutoff. There's like lots and lots of dead money in the pot, so we need to open wider to just try and get at this dead money. I think like in a normal game here without the antes, Jack 7 suited would be like the worst hand we open from the cutoff, like Jack X suited wise. So I know we need to go wider than Jack 7, but going as wide as Jack Deuce is probably or almost certainly a mistake, but I did it anyway. We face a relatively small 3-bet from a fish, and since this hand's making it into the video, and all these hands are making it to the video because we get to the river, we know we're not going to call. So we've made a loose open, and we're now making a very loose defend. But then we get rewarded. Very bad play from us, or maybe bad play from us, getting too richly rewarded. Our man now leads out for half pot. And he's a fish. He's playing 56% of hands. I'm just never going to slow play here. Just always going to fast play. We get called. Turn, he checks. There's 1.5 pots left. He's a bad player. If he's got an overpair, we just want to try and rush money into the pot. It's just a matter of what size do we go here. We can either go something like £6 or something, $6, or we can just rip it in his face. I elected to go with the rip in his face, just hoping he wouldn't fold a hand like ace, queen, or aces, or kings, or something like that. And your man is going to burn through 3 time banks before making a decision. There's one. There's 2. And then he calls. And we hold. Queen 9 suited here versus this aggro, sticky, just general all-round donkey. We ISO. We get, again, 3-bet. We add deep. We're being asked to put another like £1.40 into a $1.40 into a $4.10 flop. Yeah, and I could be making a lot of mistakes here, thinking that we can defend much wider when we are deep. But also, I was just trying to create spots for discussion with my boy. So obviously, we're not folding, but this could be a bad call. Out of position here, I'm folding this all day. In position, I'm probably not folding it very often, honestly. And again, we get unjustly rewarded for what's probably a bad pre-flop call. Flop trips. We raise again, just not slow playing. Just not slow playing in 3-bet pots. In games, what seems to me like people are just like 3-betting very narrowly pre-flop, usually just with very good hands. So again, here, I just want to fast play against overpairs for a multitude of bad cards come off. And this time our opponent folds. On to the last hand, we have the ace-jack offsuit. We face a 3-bet from someone who was at many tables looking like a reg. 100 big blinds deep here. I'm probably using this to 4-bet bluff sometimes. Whether the machine wants to do that or not, I don't know. And what's more, I don't really fucking care because all sims are broke from jump at microstates because almost no one's getting close to doing anything remotely theoretically correctly. They're getting their 3-betting value hands that should 3-bet, but they're not balanced, etc. No one's getting it right at all. No one's even get close to getting it right. So I don't care. I've stopped looking at them. So it's just a matter of do we want a 4-bet bluff here or not? And this time I elected to. And our opponent is going to call. And then we get a very good flop for our range, except the fact it's monotone. And a pretty good flop for our hand, given that we've flopped quite a decent chunk of equity. I think villain here is going to have a lot of hands like ace queen, pocket jacks, maybe even ace king, though. They just don't want to get it in pre. So even though we've got a pretty good flop for our hand, we're a long way from winning the pot. I elect to go with a very small C, but I go with 10% here, which I think is pretty normal. Pretty happy to do this. We can obviously call versus raise. We can barrel turns, etc. Happy with this size, even though it might look unorthodox. And villain calls. We get 7 on the turn. I think we just continue barreling. Oh, wow. I actually checked. Not sure what I think about this. I mean, I'm going to check raise sometimes when I check, both with value, which I don't have a great deal of, given that the king and the queen of hearts are out there. So, like, what value would we have here? Ace, jack of hearts, ace, 10 of hearts. I think I'd probably call with them pre and not 4-bet with them. So we actually don't have very many flushes in our range here, but we do obviously have aces, kings, queens, would they want to check raise on this pod? Probably not. So yeah, I think just keep betting really. Our opponent just checked back and we river the nuts, and now it's just a matter of choose a size. And I think villain's exceptionally capped here to like ace king without a heart. Well, obviously with a heart because we've got that heart and king of hearts on there. Ace king, ace queen, pocket jacks, etc. And on the 4 flush board, I mean maybe we get called on some larger bets with pocket jacks with a heart exactly. But I think it's a spot where we just, I don't want to check because he's just going to check back nearly all of the time. He's going to significantly underbluff, you would imagine. And he's not going to go very thin for value. So I think we have to bet. It's just a matter of what size. And given I think villain's capped to 1 pair, I think we don't get to go very big. But again, I could be fucking way off. We do bet and we get called by the ace queen. So maybe we size this bet nicely. Maybe he would have cost slightly bigger if he had ace king. Who knows? But we won the pot. And that is the end of the video. Sorry for the rush through, but I've got to leave the house in 2 minutes. And because I'm starting work early, it meant I didn't have enough time to do this video today unless I was going to do it quickly. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed the quicker run through. I'm going to be playing these games again today. I find them fascinating. I think the rake's hard to beat, to be honest with you. But I find them fascinating, and they're actually quite good practice for playing in club games because we're getting in more multi-way situations. And we're playing deeper stack from jump, which club games can often get quite deep. So yeah, I think they're good practice for the games I play. Nearly all these players are going to be better than players in the club. So it's not a perfect replica of the club, but it's closer than playing fucking 10NL Zoom, that's for certain. So I'm going to play some more of this today, probably making some more content with hands that come out of today. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled and don't forget to click the link beneath the video. Even if you've no intention of joining the club, please click the link anyway and help the Facebook page grow. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and bye-bye for now.